Hi, I'm Giselle.
And I'm Xana.
And together we are
The Strong Sunflowers.
Hello, Strong Sunflowers. Welcome back to another episode this week, this lovely Monday. We have been so busy. I'm currently in Austin, Texas as I film this. We have had a meet and greet. We spoke today at the schools. We were there all day speaking to all grade levels. We had such an amazing time. We did karaoke last night. We went to the Honky Donkey, the Honky Pokey. I don't even know. Santa got me in all the meet and greets. It was amazing. We got to meet some amazing people. But before we start this episode, you already know we have so many things going on. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. And for the month of March, we are having a hashtag Love Your Body campaign. So if you have any stories that you would love to share with us, slide into our DMs and send it to us. If you have any body shaming or just want to share any body positivity with our field, we would love to share your story. And before we start with this week's episode, you already know, like, share, subscribe to your mom, to your friends, to your cat, to your grandma, to go like and share and subscribe to the Strong Sunflowers. We are everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those good things. And we just found out that we are actually 3%, the top 3% on Spotify. Oh my gosh, top 3%. Let's go. But to get us even higher and higher, make sure that you leave a comment below on the podcast if you enjoy it. Give us a 5-star rating, comment your comments, how much you like this episode, what you learned from it, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. Z, who do we have in the field today?
Today on the podcast, we have someone that I have been wishing and hoping and praying would come on, and Mindy's here. I found Mindy online. When I moved to Austin, I was just looking up different groups that empowered women, empowered mothers. And I came across Women of Austin, which not only is a podcast, but also is a community space. And so I've gone to a couple of the events and have just had an incredible time networking, meeting other people, and just feeling a sense of community when I've been in that mindset of being new, right? It's hard to start over. It's hard to go into a space where you don't really know anyone. But the events that I've been at where Mindy's kind of hosted, it's been an incredible space. I felt so welcomed and really I can't wait to go to more. I'm just excited for the next event. So without further ado, I'd love to pass the mic to my girl, Mindy, to introduce herself, and we will get into the juicy details of this Strong Sunflower Spotlight.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I really appreciate you guys having me on because as you mentioned, we have a podcast, and usually it's me doing the interviewing. So this is different and this is fun. So my name is Mindy Hofman, and I'm the founder of Women of Austin. I started Women of Austin. It's been a little bit over a year since we started Women of Austin as it is today. So we have monthly networking events, we have a podcast, we have a member group, and it's a really fun community of women, and I'm so blessed that that our group just attracts these amazing, strong, fun women. And I started Women of Austin through necessity, actually. So my story: I used to have an e-commerce business. I was in a marriage for about 10 years, and I started this business working with my ex-husband, and it was really successful, but it didn't fulfill me at all. And I was just in this little bubble with my friends and my daughter, and then the people who you meet through your kid. So we moved to Austin about 7 years ago. So I had my mommy friends, and I had my ex-husband, and I also had a big, huge drinking problem that was getting so much worse. So I was really lonely, and I would go to work every day, and it would be me and a bunch of boxes that I was packing, and then some part-time employees occasionally. And when I would go home, I would just drink wine and decompress, and then, rinse, repeat, do it over and over and over. and my drinking got worse and worse. And so that led to me going to rehab, thank God. And that was the scariest and best thing that ever happened to me. So when I was in rehab, I learned more about myself and my independence. And I got to really take some time to not look at everyone else and worry about taking care of everyone else. I got to see what I needed. And what one thing that I really got out of rehab was connection. And I had been craving real connections because I had moved a lot and I didn't talk to my friends as much anymore. And I was really lonely. And so I would go out, and drink with the other moms, and that was fine, but that was all very superficial. And so the connections that I made with the people that I met in recovery were life-changing. Those people literally saved my life. And so once I got strong and realized that I could be okay on my own, my marriage had been unhappy for a while, and I had the strength to leave. And in the divorce, oh my gosh, I know you guys have talked about divorce. It's a whole situation. It can get messy, and it got real. Oh boy. And so in the divorce, I lost the house. I lost my eCommerce business. And I lost a lot of our friends. So here I am with no business, I'm just in a rental with my daughter, and only my friends from recovery. Thank God for them. So in the new phase that I was in, I really just focused on my recovery because it was very, very, very important to me. Taking care of my daughter and taking care of myself. And in that time, I had an idea to create a book featuring women in Austin because I was looking for a job, and this woman I met in San Antonio was doing it in San Antonio, and she inspired me to start it in Austin. And I started working on it, and then the pandemic hit. And y'all, I had never done a book before. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just going for it. And I met some incredible women. I have a third of a book done. We have like beautiful pictures, great stories, and that was something that I definitely am going to get back to. But during the time when I couldn't do photo shoots and I had to really, everyone had to sit and kind of focus and reflect on what we wanted to do. And I realized that connection really saved my life. And this was in a time when we couldn't really connect. We'd go to meetings with like our masks on or do them over Zoom, but it was different. And then I realized that I had all these stories, and then I was meeting all these people, and I wanted to share their stories. Because one thing that I learned in recovery is that when you share your story, it's not for you. It's for the person that needs to hear it. And when everyone's honest and vulnerable and sharing our stories, that's how we can really help each other, because you realize that you're not alone, or you're inspired. So after all the brainstorming and thinking, one night it just came to me. I wanted to do a podcast so I could get these stories out and get all these women together and talk about all these important things in the hopes of reaching people who might need a little motivation, or seeing somebody who's doing something that, they didn't think that they could do. But then after hearing the story, it's like, oh, well, if she can do it, maybe I can. And then in-person events. Oh my gosh, I was ready for it. I didn't know if I could do it, but I just jumped in and did it, and people showed up. And February of last year is when we had our first event. We've done them every month since, and it has just been incredible. So that's a very, very long story of how I got here, but now y'all know a lot about me.
And I'm here for it. And shout out to the single mamas. I was raised by a single mom as well. And it's hard enough, right, to show up for your kids. But if you don't find that balance to pour into yourself, they won't even know how to handle the life that's thrown their way. So thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your story. And your daughter's so lucky to have a mama like you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I everything that I do is is for her. I think about how do I want her to see me, and what do I want to model for her, and so that's always a great guide. And so I'm really lucky to have it. And she comes to the events sometimes when she can, and she's my biggest critic. She's like, Mommy, I like that show, but I like the other one a lot better. Or kids, she's like, Mommy, when you drop me off at school and you pick me up after you filmed your show, you look like a completely different person. And
The
she's not wrong.
shade.
Oh, the glam. She's 9. It starts early. Oh, but it's been so great to have my little sidekick. So I'm so lucky.
I'm here for it. I'm also a mom of 4, and I just started a note on my phone that's like called The Things My Kids Say, and they have been just like throwing some one-liners out there, and it's like, I just want to I'm at that point now where they're not babies anymore. And I know your daughter's a little older. I think she's 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that ish, in that realm.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you want to hold on to all the cute things they say, because like when they get into the teenage years, it's like, I don't even know what I'm going to get. It's not going to be cute though. So let me capture this stuff now. But something, as you were talking, and I share this quote on the podcast a lot, but it's so true. I heard it on Brene Brown's podcast, and it says, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. And so I think like just hearing your story and hearing where you were in a marriage where you weren't happy, you were doing work that you didn't enjoy. And so you went to something that kind of numbed you, right? You went to alcohol. Some of us, other people, I know I go to shopping and food. If I'm not feeling great, I want ice cream and I want to get on Amazon or go, online shop to wherever. And so hearing your story, it does give power to other women and to other humans to look past, like, why am I going to this thing? Why am I going to wine? Why am I shopping when I don't need anything? I don't have any material needs right now. So what's the root in this? Is there, outside of going to rehab or therapy, are there any other things that you'd maybe suggest somebody to look into if they're having those sentiments where they don't feel really fulfilled in their life and they don't know where to start?
I think that the most important thing that that helped is looking at why you're doing what you're doing. But another simple thing, well, no, okay, I'm not going to say simple. It is hard. Another thing that is important is being authentic and letting people know what's going on with you. So once I was finally like, okay, this has to stop. I am not a person who can drink. It never ends well. It's ruining my life, all of the things. So you have to want to quit. And people would try to like tell me to quit, but that didn't work. But once I was ready, I still couldn't do it. It still took like a few years, even though I truly wanted to, because I was afraid to let people know what was going on with me. I was afraid to let people know that, no, I can't drink, actually. I was worried about what they would think about me. And what I realize now, it's crazy, because what they would think about me if I say, oh, no, I don't drink, or I'm not drinking, even if there's any judgment, the night might go on and I might say and do really horribly embarrassing things. And that is so much worse than what I was worried about. So playing it all out also, and looking at like, well, if I'm honest with this person or that person about what's really going on with me, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then if you look even further, it's like, if you are thinking about telling somebody about something that's going on with you, and the worst thing that can happen is they react negatively or do something that you don't like, then you really need to think about, why is that person in your life? Because that sounds like somebody who's not serving you as a friend. And I think that, surrounding yourself with supportive people who you can be authentic with is really important. So I think just, making sure you have a good tribe, and playing it out and just, what's the worst thing that can happen if I'm honest and ask for some support from my friends.
And I love that you said that, because yes, they don't need to be in your field. If you are not showing up authentically, right now I'm reading 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. If you haven't gotten it, oh my gosh. Chef's kissed. But that's something that he talked about. When you are trying to find love and trying to put yourself out there, what you're putting out there is what you're going to get back. Kind of like what he calls your karma. So if you're putting yourself out there for being this perfect person, or for having this great body, or for having this money, the people that you're going to attract into your life are going to want you or love you for having a great body, for having that perfect life, for having all those beauty aspects. And because we're humans, we're not always going to look perfect. We're all not always going to be 120 pounds, 6-pack. We're not always going to be or have the money. So once that is taken away, sometimes the love is taken away. But that's the love that we were putting out there. That's what we wanted people to love us for. So if we truly want authentic love, we have to be authentic ourselves, because we want them to love us for us. And the book is so good. It's so good. But I love that you talked about that. And I love that you're so open about rehab and just living in your truth, And when you said about people asking you, it's like when you have to tell them, oh, I don't drink. And it's funny because I don't drink. So I tell people all the time, and their first response is like, oh, good for you, girl. Don't do it. Don't start. But and then they keep on moving. They keep it moving for the most part. They're like, everybody's in their own world, in their own little bubble. But I would love to know, because before you got the help that you needed, you were still drinking, but you're still running a successful business. You were going through this hard thing, but you were still functioning through your life, being a mom, being a wife, being this successful business owner. I would love to know, how did rehab and learning about yourself and going through that part on your life affected how you run your business today? Because it's still a successful business, but I wonder if you learned something new that you're like, okay, I can't do that in this new chapter of my life.
I love that question. So one thing that I was lucky enough to have happen is that the business was no longer an option for me. So I got to think about what I want and what my mission is and what I want from my business. So with the e-commerce business, it was to make money, as much money as we can. Like, I'll pack as many boxes of whatever, as long as someone's buying it, I'll be there to sell it to you. And showing up like that and running a business like that, it felt icky. So it was, always trying to cut prices or find ways to get your listing over somebody else's. And I never really liked it. And then with my business now, I get to make decisions based on my heart and what I feel is best and will be most impactful. And as far as the day-to-day running it goes, I didn't know how to have a podcast. I didn't know how to throw events. I didn't know how to create a member group. We have a new nonprofit that I partnered with my friend Ashley from Ashley's Angels that we have going on. I don't know anything about a nonprofit. Thank God for Ashley. But I'm curious and I want to learn, and I make mistakes, but any mistakes that I've made or anything that could be a failure, it's all done and coming from the right place, and everyone sees that. And so I'm able to ask for help, and I've surrounded myself with people that they're always offering, how can I help? What can I do? How can I support? And that is something that is, and then asking for the help. So what I learned in rehab big time is ask for the help. So it used to be so hard for me to ask for help. So I'll send a lot of emails that start with, okay, I know this might sound crazy, but I was thinking whatever I'm pitching. And then my friend said something to me once. He would always say, hey, shoot or shoot, right? So I'll usually end with that too. Like, I took the shot. Like, what do you think? And like 80% of the time, it's a yes. And if it's not, it is met with, it's met with a great reaction. Like, oh, I love this. I wish we could, but so, I've learned to just go for it, and life is short. And as long as you believe in what you're selling or what you're doing, then people will get behind you. When you don't believe in it, it's you want to go home and drink 3 bottles of wine.
Xana, you already know what I was going to say. Tip number 4 to becoming a strong ass sunflower. Learn to ask for help.
True. It's one of our pillars, right? And it's hard to do. It's hard to ask for help. There's a humility aspect to it. But I hate in the business world, so often we hear, and not just the business world, I feel like we hear it in every world, is fake it till you make it. But why not just ask for help if you don't know? Like, why not just have a growth mindset and say, maybe I don't know how now, but I can learn. And recently I love musical theater. Like as a little girl, I wanted to be a Broadway star. That was my big dream. And I got into a very fixed mindset. I got rejected a couple times. I didn't get the parts I wanted. And so I took that as a sign of, you're not good enough. Stop trying. And as I learned and grew and, figured out what was next in my life, I was like, no, those were just moments where doors closed so that I could go knock on other doors and keep trying. But I didn't know that as a little girl. And recently I had the opportunity to go to a Zilker audition workshop, and it was so much fun. I felt like a kid. I was like learning dances and asking questions, and one of the directors was there and was just kind of having like an open dialogue about the audition process. And he was like, what I hate that people do in the audition is like, say if I ask, hey, can you do a backflip, or can you do a tap number? Can you do point? Many people will meet you with like, no, I can't. And he said, what's gotten me the most success, he's like, I'm not a classically trained dancer. I, mostly went to acting school. I taught myself how to sing. But what I did in my auditions and in the experience in plays is anytime there was an opportunity to try something new, or they asked if I could do something, I wouldn't say I can't. I'd say, well, I don't know how now, but I'm willing to learn. And I love that you bring that aspect of what you learned in therapy and in rehab to your business, because so many of us get stuck there. So many of us say, well, I don't know how to do that. So no, right? Well, guess what? You're human and you're adaptable and you're resilient. And if you have the thought process that you can do anything. You can learn anything. So thank you for sharing your insight with us. Like, so many people need to hear that message. I need to hear that message. Oftentimes I'll get back into that fixed mindset. It's easy to go back there when life isn't going the way that you thought it was going to go. And so I love that that's the insight that you took away from your experience.
I think about how when people ask me for help, when I'm able to help them, how good it makes me feel. So you're also giving the people the opportunity. If you ask in the right way and you're not pushy and you're just yourself, and they can help you, it makes them feel good. And so that's something else that helped me change my mindset, is remembering how I feel when I'm able to help people.
Yeah, for sure. And you said something in the last section where you're like 80% of the time people will say yes. Have you heard of the TED Talk? It's from a guy named Jia Jiang, and it's called What I Learned from 100 Days of Rejection. I don't know if you've seen that. Highly recommend it. Those that are listening, G and Mindy, I recommend that you watch it too. But he does the most random things just because he knows people will say no, to see how he would handle it and how other people would handle it, to the point where he'll go and lay in a Starbucks on the floor and just, where somebody's gonna be like, what are you doing? Get up. Like, you can't lay on the floor in Starbucks. He went door to door and asked if he could plant a flower in someone's garden. Like, just random things. And he said most of the time people wouldn't say no, and they'd open the door to the next person that would say yes. So like the woman that he went up to plant something in her garden, she's like, well, no, because I already have a garden and I already kind of like it a certain way. But you know what? The person next door would probably say yes. I know they've been working on their yard, right? So having that courage to shoot your shot, even though maybe 20% of the time it could lead to a no, that no could then lead to a yes. Have you seen that happen in your own life? Like when you've gotten the rejection or the no that you hoped you wouldn't, it led to another door being opened?
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, and that's great. I hadn't put it together, but absolutely. And same thing with when people ask me for help. If I can't do it, my first thought is who can help them. Um, so wow, and I gotta watch that TED Talk. I like want to be friends with this guy. He sounds fun.
And I loved how with Santa, by the way, when she did that interview, she called me. I work at a breakfast place, okay? It's Saturday and we're busy as hell, okay? Busy. But I'm like, oh, Santa's calling as I'm like over here preparing drinks and like putting Giselle away. And she's like, Giselle, I'm going to the interview and it says it's 8 up. And I was like, girl, you show up and live your very life as the child you. 5-year-old Santa, show up and show out. So I love that she brought that up because I'm like, I love that it made her feel like a child again because we really have to go back to when we were kids. We weren't afraid of rejection. We took all the shots. We took the shots that weren't even ours. We blew the candles that, and it wasn't even our birthday. We were like, yeah, we're doing it. And as we get older, that's when like society and the world starts telling us like, you can't be like that. But in reality, we need to be more like the children. The children know what's up. Okay. They're taking their shot. They're doing it. Can I have ice cream for dinner? Boy, this is the third time I tell you no. But they're still gonna shoot that shot. They're gonna wait for that. Yes. Maybe we'll have some sprinkles. But I love that you all brought that in. And it's like, it's so true. We have to go back to our childhood self and really live in our truth, whether it's 8 and up, 5 and up. Girl, I'll do all the things.
Ain't that the truth, G? Ain't that the truth? So, Mindy, I'd love to dig in to understand kind of your business. So you shared in your intro that you have live events, you have the podcast. Is this book done, or are you still working on it based on the like the podcasting and interviews and meet and greeting and networking that you're doing?
So the book is on hold. The book is the book. I cannot wait to get back to the book. But yeah, the book is on hold. And what's funny about the book is, well, not funny, but everyone who has like done their photo shoots and everything, by the time they're all on standby, because they all want to redo their photo shoots, because that was like 3 years ago. And some of them like had their kids in their photo shoots. Like those kids are different kids at this point. Yeah, so my goal is to get the podcast going, and just keep growing it, and then keep growing our events and our member community. And we have this new nonprofit. And then as soon as I feel like I can give it the attention that it needs. So with the book, when it's time to go, because what I learned is the pictures, people grow and change, is that I need to be ready to just take some time and be like, okay, we are banging all of this out, and give it the attention that it deserves. So the book will probably be, it won't be I can tell you it won't be this year, but with any luck, it'll be next year, and that's the big goal. So I'm excited. I'm excited that I haven't given up, let's just say, and I'm not going to. So it's coming.
And you are forever in our field, queen. Once you're in the pod, you're forever in our field. So we can't wait to support you when the book comes out. We can't wait to support your events. So please tell our followers and listeners, where can they find you? Where do they need to follow, like, share, subscribe to their mom, to their cats, all of the above?
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. So you can find Women of Austin on Instagram. It's women_of_Austin. Mine is Mindy.Hirsch. And we have the new Women of Austin Foundation. So that is at Women of Austin Foundation. And then our podcast is the Women of Austin Podcast. And we have a YouTube channel. We spend a lot of time making it pretty and making it feel like a show, like you're sitting down to watch a show. So if you go to YouTube, search for the Women of Austin Podcast, and subscribe, all of the things. Or if you're a listener, you can download it pretty much anywhere that podcasts are available. And we would love the support. Y'all know, like all the reviews, all the things, like just listening. Like we love you all for just listening, taking time to spend with us. You know what I mean?
And I'm telling you, it's worth the time. It is worth the time. I've been to the events. So if you're in Austin, or if you're going to be in Austin, wink, Gigi, this month you're coming. Definitely look up and see if they have anything going on and get involved. And I'd love to close out this section. We like to do little mic drop moments here and there. And I can't get this thought out of my head because I have a feeling there's someone out there that is drinking a little too much, shopping a little too much, eating a little too much, to kind of ignore the way that they're feeling about their life and how they're showing up. And so if you could go back to that Mindy that was, contemplating divorcing, contemplating going to rehab, what would you tell her? What would you whisper in her ear to let her know that it was going to be okay?
I would let her know that she doesn't have to do it alone. And I would let her know that she is strong enough to do it, that she needs to just follow her gut and do what she believes in, and everything will be okay.